dear Lord. All right, guys, welcome to the Rumor Mill Rundown with the Goodell Multiverse. So we're going to get into our first rumor, and Samuel did this to me on purpose. But our first rumor we're going to discuss real quick today is according to She Hulk star Tatiana Maslany. I can't say her name. Maslany. Sorry, ma'am. Bringing back her green character may come with a stipulation. Really? Anyways, showrunner Jessica, is it Gao's?
Yep.
Gao, okay. Involvement should be at least consulted to grasp the tone of the show and the story of the character. Is a showrunner needed to continue a character forward?
Well,
go ahead, Sam.
Okay. He knows of the two of us, I'm the more of the She-Hulk fan than he is.
He don't like the show either, though, guys. Don't let it fool you.
No, exactly. I would be, as a fan of She-Hulk, I say this with love and admiration and respect. That was a poor show. It was. I'm still in my brain. It still shocks me to know that internally they think it was the most successful show they've had, because I don't see that connection. Or what demographic are they playing to? I don't. Anyways, guys, the main question is: a showrunner needed to continue the character forward? Case in point for the episode we're doing today on Captain America: The Winter Soldier. No, it's not.
Yeah, no.
Captain America at this point in the MCU timeline has been through two different people that have been writing him, controlling him, director wise, so to speak, from his first film, and then Joss Whedon, in the Avengers film, and now we finally get the duo that's going to take him on the rest of his time, to be honest.
Yeah.
And which is much deserving, and we're going to get there when we get to there, folks. But no, I don't think so. And I don't think, just like in the comic books, a character doesn't need to stay with just its creator in order to continue the character forward.
Right.
Look at some of the X-Men characters from Chris Claremont. Now, Chris Claremont, to his credit, he created some amazing characters himself because he helmed the X-Men for so long. One of my favorite mutants of all time, Emma Frost, he created. But some of these characters, like Jean Grey, he didn't create Jean Grey, but yet he was able to tell a magnificent storyline with her in the Phoenix Force. So you didn't need the original person for that. Now, yeah, maybe Stan Lee was right there saying this, and this, and all that stuff. And of course, he's executive producer in every one of these movies and projects until he unfortunately passed away. But I don't think the showrunner is needed to continue a character forward. As a matter of fact, usually you're just using a showrunner to launch a character, and then whether or not that formula and that chemistry is good is then determined by Marvel, who actually owns the character, who is going to take on that version of the character and move it forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that Tatiana Maslany is very loyal to Jessica Gao, but you don't need her. And actually, Tatiana, unfortunately, from what I've seen of the show, it would do you better to not have her involved with your future iterations of She-Hulk, because that show, it just did not click with the fans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, when she said this, she also said that Tatiana thinks that if she shows up on people's screens again, she thinks a lot of people will be mad. Honestly speaking, we won't be mad. We just want to see you done right. And you can do it as an actress. You've proven that. Even in the show that was not bad, or I'm sorry, that was not good, you were not bad at your acting in it. It was
Very
what
true.
they gave you to do that was bad.
Mm-hmm.
And as, again, I've said before, sometimes what's written in the comics does not translate well to a show or to a live-action adaptation. And that was proof. Maybe it worked out. If we knew that the She-Hulk show was a niche of the MCU, like it's MCU adjacent, but it's not mainline MCU, that show would have gotten a little bit more praise from me, personally, because it was very comic accurate. But the problem is, like I just said, we're trying to take you seriously enough where you can still be funny, but also be serious. And that show, it was too meta. and we didn't need that for a show. Your comics is one thing because they were having fun, the writers and the drawers, illustrators, all that. They were having fun. We get it. And that was cool. We got to see them have fun. We don't need to see them have fun with a show like that. Anyways, that's my 2 cents on that. Um, I don't think you need a showrunner to continue a character forward.
No, I mean, there's two sides of that coin. Some of the best TV shows that I like the most do have showrunners all the way through. So I don't want to sit and say you don't need it when I think it does help. I think if you have an ultimate plan, if you sit down with a concept of a show idea and you know where you want this to eventually go, and then you do your first season and it's successful, like widely successful, that's when I think a showrunner is important because it means you found the sauce, you found the thing you're cooking with, right? Um, I think the opposite applies here. I think that this was a failure and you actually need a different showrunner. Because like Seinfeld, Game of Thrones, The Shield, Justify, all these things that I like a lot, whether you like any of those or not. MASH is another good one, old school MASH. They all had showrunners from beginning to end, but they had a successful formula that worked, that they're going to redo every time and work on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what y'all say about Game of Thrones. It's a great ending. So, and it's because the showrunners paid attention. Now, I'm not saying, though, that all those shows I just mentioned, though, had different directors, though, come in and do their own take and style of something and even take the storyline in different ways. So, does a showrunner that knows what they're doing help? Yes. Do you need one to be successful? No. But if you're failing, you definitely need a different one. You need to find out why this isn't working. I think sometimes with TV, that's where it gets complicated, is if you have too many visions and too many ideas in the pot, that's when your show gets weird. Because another good example is I'm a big X-Files fan. Not all of X-Files is good, and they had the same showrunner. And there's times where you get towards like the last 3 seasons of the X-Files, it's kind of like, why do I like this? And it does not. X-Files in the long run never did deliver on what made it good in the beginning. And that had the same showrunner. So I just think you just need people to succeed. I don't think it's as simple as keeping a showrunner or getting new showrunners or whether you need one or not. It's just you need the mix to work. And right now, that mix didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
We want more of the courtroom drama.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's what we were
Sorry,
promised.
guys. You can have the comedy, but
When we were
you
promised,
said Ally McBeal, and there was like 2
yes,
episodes that was like that.
and maybe,
Sorry.
to be honest,
Maybe, yeah.
like in my opinion, of the whole show, there are only 2 episodes that were good, and one of them wasn't Ally McBeal style at all, but it was actually MCU style, and I liked it. And then the second one, yeah, a little more Ally McBeal, but at the same time, it still had this. When the seriousness came in that second episode, it came and it was really good. And then when you wanted to be funny, you had natural MCU humor. The rest of it was forced.
Yeah, that show could have been really good. It could have been really good.
Oh, yeah, they had a great concept. We never got the concept, though.
Right. It was a mess.
Yeah. Anyways,
So that's how I feel. Yeah.
yeah, and honestly, we don't need to go too much into this. Everyone knows how I feel about it, and everyone knows how my brother feels about it. So, no, you don't need the same showrunner. But I do echo your point, which I think I kind of said it too in the beginning, is that especially like when we come to Captain America Winter Soldier that we're going to be talking about soon, you could go through different directors and different showrunners, so to speak. But once you do find the right one that hits, because your audience unanimously is going to love it. Not just some internal polling and data that you say, oh, it hit the general public, but it didn't hit with the fans. A successful adaptation hits with everybody and actually gets amplified and the fans love it too. So if you do that and you hit a home run with a different showrunner for a She-Hulk show, by all means, let's have 6 seasons of them. Just get the right person, the right team behind it to do it and do it right. And that's why I do have hope that she is going to be one of the people in the Avengers movies, because I feel like the Russo brothers, as showrunners themselves, they know how to rehabilitate a character, at least for the image part, because if you want this character and this actress to continue on, as it sounds like she is going to be continuing on as She-Hulk past Secret Wars, from my understanding, then You got to rehabilitate the image.
Yeah, and let's be clear.
Yeah.
We are saying, I think most of people online, and hope everyone go and comment if you agree, it's not Tatiana and She-Hulk that's the problem. It's the show that was the problem.
Mm.
She's fine. We want her to stay as She-Hulk.
Yes.
We want that character. We want her as that character. That's fine. It's what she was in that was bad, in our opinion. So
yeah, I agree. All right. So the next part of the next segment, I would say, next topic on our rumor rundown is related to Spider-Man and his origins. So recently, recently, the Russo brothers were discussing behind-the-scenes details on some Marvel films they had done. They had revealed some interesting details about Spider-Man. By the way, this year is the 10-year anniversary of Captain America: Civil War, which is why they did like a big special presentation on it.
nice.
So kind of cool. Anyways, I
10
can't wait.
years. Wow.
Yeah, can't wait to get to that movie. Yeah, 10 years. What the heck?
That's
Anyways, the Russo brothers were the first to direct and create the MCU's Tom Holland Peter Parker in Captain America: Winter Soldier. And they revealed that Peter's Uncle Ben's death had no impact on Peter Parker. So how far does this stray from the comics? And most importantly, is it important for Peter Parker for Spider-Man?
So obviously it strays far from the comics because in the comics that is a big deal.
Yeah.
And in most of the movie iterations or TV show, any iteration of Spider-Man, that's a big deal. But what they've successfully done with the new Spider-Man movies is prove that it's not. Although I will say this, the event of someone dying where he can't do something about it when maybe he feels like he should have or could have, I do think is something in Spider-Man's DNA.
And that was covered with his Aunt-May.
So do I think Uncle Ben has to be the one? No. I think you could have got away with Iron Man dying, to be honest with you, with this new Spider-Man. But they doubled down and did the Aunt May thing, which to me actually was, I was good with it too. It was great, So not that I didn't like Aunt May, but it hit home,
Yes.
I do think it is in Peter's DNA to lose someone close to him where he feels like it's his fault. Yes, I do. Do I think it needs to be Uncle Ben? No, I don't. So I think that's a complicated give and take. I think it is in that realm. I think in most superheroes, I think the sense of loss is important. But specifically Spider-Man, I think is a young man losing someone and doing what he's doing. Yeah, I do think that is important to his sauce, which they say it's not important in this, but it still happened. So yeah, I do think it's important. I really do. So
I think so. And I'm not a super like, how do I say this, guys? I know of Spider-Man. Everyone knows of Spider-Man. He's arguably next to Batman, the most popular superhero on the planet.
Yeah.
So I don't know anyone who doesn't know who Spider-Man is. Anyways, but from like the hardcore Spider-Man fan perspective, I didn't read too much of any of Spider-Man's comics, maybe one or two ever, to be honest, because there's so many to read from, and I was more interested in Fantastic Four and X-Men. But anyways, I think that this is the Uncle Ben death thing. If you're comparing like the gravity of the loss that Peter Parker has to experience as a young man, like, so eloquently put that my brother did right here. Not that Aunt May wasn't important in the comics. She was very important to the growth and character development of Peter, but Uncle Ben's death hit Peter hard. It was that I can't be a little boy anymore. I have to grow up type thing. And what we got in No Way Home was that same thing, just reversed. It wasn't Uncle Ben. His death, I'm sure, had some sort of impact on him as a young child. We don't really know the origin of Uncle Ben in this
we
iteration
really didn't know
of
if he
him.
died. Yeah.
Well, we did see his grave.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
he is deceased, but we don't know how
I forgot
young
about
was
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
we don't know how young Peter was when that happened,
Yeah.
if he was around when that happened. We have no idea about Peter's parents in this iteration, which they in other iterations, they do touch upon at least his parents and
Yeah.
why he was raised by his aunts and uncle and everything. So, the gravity is still there for Peter, it just shifted from Uncle Ben to Aunt May. And I think personally for me, it was a lot more powerful coming from Aunt May in this iteration of Peter
Oh,
Parker
yeah.
because we've now seen Aunt May in 3 Spider-Man movies plus Civil War. Um, and we got to learn of their relationship together, how close they are. And then you got to see she always reminded him of who he is, and
Mhm.
her delivering those iconic lines of with great power comes great responsibility, and that is what you need to carry with you as her final words to him. So beautifully done for that.
Mhm.
I got goosebumps just saying that, to be honest. It was so beautifully done and delivered by Marissa Tomei
Mhm.
and the character in general to Peter. And we as an audience, unlike what we saw in the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield iterations of Spider-Man, where they died within the first half hour or so of the movie, which is again comic accurate. I get it. This we got to see a character development and relationship between the two of them for multiple films. And then we saw her death and the impact and the power behind those words and the gravity was much greater, I think, for an emotional level for me, and I'm sure for the audience in general, than it was with those other two. Because the other two, it was a given. We know he's going to die, robber, all that stuff. We get it. But this, and how she died too, which was different than the other ones, and it was so good.
Yeah,
So,
we
yeah.
felt it with him this time.
Oh, yes.
Not that we're calloused and didn't care for how Uncle Ben died in
Oh,
other ones,
yeah.
but it just like you said, the time spent,
Mhm,
it changes that.
mhm.
And when she said that, it was that's the brilliance of those first 3
Yeah.
Spider-Man movies, man. Is it's an origin story in 3 movies,
Mhm.
and when you didn't see it coming until this movie happened.
Yeah.
And then when she died like that, in my head in the theater, I'm just like, "Oh my god, we're seeing him become Spider-Man right now."
Mhm.
Like, this whole time, he's Spider-Man, right? But we're seeing him become Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And who else helped him usher into becoming Spider-Man other than 2 other Spider-Men on top of it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
right?
who have been through this,
Yep.
but we're learning of the pain with him as he learns it, and that's we're like, "Oh, no," like he is, you know?
Mm,
Yeah, that's very well put, Sam, because that is 100% yeah, that's why, like I said, it's not Uncle Ben that's the important part. It's
mhm.
that there is a loss that has to happen in his life
Yep.
for him to fully embrace this character.
And it was beautifully done how they did it in No Way Home because not only when he lost see, in the other iterations of Spider-Man, when he lost Uncle Ben, he had Aunt May there to comfort him. He was alone without no parent figure. There was no Tony.
Yeah.
There was no Uncle Ben to comfort him for Aunt May's death.
Who
There
took that spot though?
Yeah.
2 Spider-Man.
Who took that spot was 2
Was
Spider-Man who
Spider-Man
knew.
himself. Yeah.
Yes.
They saw that in him.
So well
It's so
written.
brilliant.
Oh, anyways,
Yeah,
guys,
it's so
so,
brilliant.
I mean, for any hardcore, it must be down to a T and to a letter, comic fan, you might not have liked it so much because, of course, it's not exactly how the comics did, but again, this is how the MCU is telling the story, and I think they did it justice.
Oh my
So,
god, so well.
guys, please comment down below what your thoughts on this. Do you think that is needed to have had an Uncle Ben this whole time, or do you think that Aunt May was just enough? Alright. We're going on to our last topic here on our Rumor Rundown. Ike,
All
why
right,
don't you
guys.
take it away?
Looks like we got some Secret Avengers coming up here. So, Nightcrawler actor Alan Cumming confirms that Avengers Doomsday has secret Avengers not announced yet. They didn't want to let out, quote unquote, by the way, they didn't want to let out this certain character was coming back, so they called them somebody else in the script. It was confusing, end quote. Who could he be referring to?
Alright.
I mean,
We
duh.
can't go every
Yeah.
episode we have to talk about Doomsday, and every episode we almost every episode, we're like, "Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Who's in there? Guess who?" So, thank you, Mr. Alan Cumming,
Yeah.
for allowing us to talk about it again.
Yeah.
Who is the secret character?
I mean,
What code name do you think they were giving him in the script?
so for me, I don't think it's as simple as other characters that just haven't been mentioned yet. I think that I think there's characters that haven't been mentioned yet that are going to be in this. Hence, I do believe we're going to get the majority of the X-Men. I think that there's other characters they haven't talked about yet that we're going to get.
So for this
But
part,
this, to me,
yeah.
is very specific because not only did they
Yeah.
want to keep it from us, but they wanted to keep it from them
Mm-hmm.
as well. And it made them kind of confused about wait a minute.
Who they talking to?
Yeah, what is this I'm talking to this person about? So yeah, this is a
So just to throw out, we won't make this too long, guys. We can make
Excuse
a
me.
whole segment on this, to be honest.
Yep, I think I know what it is.
Forget about the X-Men. He specifically said a secret Avenger. So,
Excuse me.
think for a brief moment, give like maybe one, maybe two examples of who do you think it could be now? A secret Avenger. And I also would like to know, which we don't have confirmation of this yet, are the Thunderbolts called the Avengers in this movie? Or is it because at the end of the Thunderbolts, they became the new Avengers? Are they considered Avengers too then?
Right.
For this thing? Because it could be a new Thunderbolt, but they're calling it an Avenger, you know?
And we don't know to Alan Cumming, everybody could be Avenger, so we're not sure, right? So
Yeah. But we do know it's specifically a recurring
mhm.
Avenger that they just gave a code name to.
And it's specifically in Doomsday.
Specifically in Doomsday, yeah. So
Hmm.
so think about it for a brief moment, guys. I want you to go down in the comment section below and write who you think is the secret person he's referring to while my brother's thinking. I'm going to throw out 2 suggestions. And I'm trying not to be repetitive. I'm going to try to be a little more creative with this because, to be honest, I could say the same 3 people all the time, and it's probably not going to happen. And if it does happen, I'll be the first person to jump up and down my seat being like, yes, I knew it. But
Yeah, I'm keeping mine pretty simple. I got 2 already.
okay, you got 2.
You know,
I wrote down 1. I'm trying to think of
I'm going to leave it up to you to throw the curveballs because I'm trying to be. Now, if this was Secret Wars, I have a different answer, but because it's Doomsday, it's something else.
See, I feel like when we're talking about this, for Secret Wars, it's going to be harder. When we get done with Doomsday and we're waiting a whole year for Secret Wars and we're going to speculate who's in it, who's not, that's going to be harder because that's a bigger playing field.
Yeah.
I feel like Doomsday is a lot more narrower of a playing field than what we're going to get.
So I'll give you 3, but the third one is just in case the scenes he's talking about might actually be in Secret Wars instead of Doomsday. Because I think they're filming some scenes with these people for both movies while they have them.
I won't be surprised.
So if this guy is more likely in Secret Wars, it's Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Okay. I think that we're going to see an Iron Man Robert Downey Jr. fight a Doom Robert Downey Jr. in Secret Wars. I think that's, I'm just throwing that out there. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be fun. I think that'd be an interesting way of doing that, to bring an Iron Man from somewhere else to fight that Iron Man, and it'd be him and them, and I think it'd be kind of cool. But if it's specifically just Doomsday, my first 2 picks, I think it's most likely the Hulk or it's White Vision. Those are my 2 guesses.
It's funny. I mean, Vision was one that I was going to put as my second guess too. I was going to say Bullseye because how Daredevil ended.
Not going to happen.
It made me think, oh, he's a Thunderbolt now.
Yeah, not going to happen.
No. You don't think so?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Vision.
I see where you get that, though. It's a good guess.
Yeah. I see Vision after they did that whole special Disney upfront presentation thing on his show, how they did it, which was a little, to me, questionable because you could have had anything else done, but you had those 2 actors in particular. Yeah. I feel like that's a little nod to, hey, that's probably, we're going to get the biggest Disney Plus post-credit scene ever in Vision Quest, and it's going to be Dr. Doom recruiting Vision or something along those lines. Who knows? So, yeah, I thought Bullseye. I thought that would be a niche one to throw out there.
That'd be wild.
But there would I have some validity to that.
No, there's a connection. It's true. I think the only thing that's missing though is he's not been in a movie.
And I think the only other one I would say is Spider-Man.
Yep, that's true. That's
because
a good guess.
I know in my brain, I never think of Spider-Man as an Avenger, but Tony Stark did that whole fake
Oh,
knighting him
yeah.
thing in Infinity War, being like, "You're an Avenger now, kid." Be like, "Oh," be like, "Okay." So they kind of consider him an Avenger, Spider-Man
I considered
Avenger.
him an intern Avenger ever since the first movie, truthfully with him. Like, when he showed up to help fight Cap in Civil War. He was in that group. They're all Avengers at that point. I understand, like, the actual announcing. I think that was just a very ceremonial thing
Yeah,
in the sense of Tony being silly about how he does it. But I've always considered him like an intern Avenger, basically. Like,
yeah,
he's practicing to become one, you know. But you're
yeah,
right. It's really only 2 movies he was announced as an Avenger, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah. The only second one I would say, if it's also Secret Wars, would be Scarlet Witch. Joan.
yeah.
I think,
I
well, not
can see
Scarlet
that.
Witch. I'm sorry. That possible too.
Oh, Scarlett
Sorry,
Johansson.
but Scarlett Johansson as
If it was Secret Wars, I would agree
Secret
with you.
Wars, right?
Yeah,
But Scarlet Witch could be in Doomsday as well.
I won't be surprised if she is,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah,
But anyways, guys, questions for you. Who do you think is going to be in it? And we could speculate all day. We want you to speculate in the comments down below.
yeah. Please, but hey, while we're on that topic, I'm going to throw a pop quiz over to Sammy. I put out a video not too long ago, and I'm sure Sammy's aware of the video, but now I'm going to throw it over to him. Since we need to get into this mindset of recasting the Avengers, Sammy, eventually, it's
Yeah.
got to happen because we're outgrowing it. You saw the video I put on of us getting older.
Mhm.
It's we got to start looking at the recasting of it. I thought to myself, who's probably most likely the first one they're going to recast? And the only real open seat in the sense of, that has nobody there right now is Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther. So if we're going to recast Black Panther, whether it's T'Challa or not, we're just talking the Black Panther character himself. So it could be a different name person. I personally think they'd be doing him justice if they completely recast T'Challa, to be honest with you.
Mm.
That's my personal feelings. I think Chadwick, if he could speak for it right now, would like to see someone pick up that character and move on and not let that character go with him.
Mhm.
No offense. I like think he was great. He's probably one of the best casts that they ever put in it. He was
Mhm.
a good actor outside of it. It's a tragedy that he died the way he did. Way too soon, way too young. We could have had him for multiple of these movies.
I agree.
Everyone's always going to remember him. But I really think, I truly believe that he would have wanted to see another young actor, someone coming up to take that role and do something with it, and us not let it go to waste.
Mhm.
And my pick was Damson Idris from F1. I think he's an up and coming. He's done some real good stuff. I know he's done other than F1. He's done some things. I personally haven't seen any of that stuff, but I was introduced to him in F1. I watched him in F1, and holy moly, was he fantastic in that movie. He's got the physique, he's got the looks, he's got the acting chops. He looks like he could kick some ass. If I had to pick my top one, it would be, I would love to see Damson. And I know that that's been on the buzz of the internet anyways. I just happen to agree with you guys that, yeah, let's get him into this. But if you had to pick one, Sam, one or two, or a couple off the top of your head, what say you, sir?
Okay, there is someone that I had in mind. I just want to make sure I get him right. Because I had thought about this a long time ago. Let me just make sure I'm getting the right person. I don't know his name on the top of my head, but as soon as I saw him, guys, I immediately thought you are probably going to be well, I would say it should be Black Panther. If I had to recast, actor named Anthony Hill.
Oh, I know who that is.
Yeah,
Okay.
he to me looks like a young
Yeah,
T'Challa.
he does.
Now, how I learned about him is I used to watch Grey's Anatomy a lot. I haven't watched the past couple seasons recently, but he did appear in it, and it was actually around the same time that Chadwick Boseman did pass away.
Mm,
And I was part of the camp of recast T'Challa.
yeah.
They made their decision, and we saw what happened with it in Wakanda Forever, and that's given the circumstances, I forgive some of the beats of that movie that I didn't enjoy because of it. It was really a somber movie mostly because of it, but
Mhm.
that was the heartbeat of the movie, and they made the best of it. But I would have recasted T'Challa, and
Yeah.
I agree with you, Ike. I think that that's what Chadwick actually would have wanted,
Yeah.
to pass the baton to another young black actor who can
Mhm.
take that on and be that role model that Black Panther was for a lot of
Yeah.
young black kids, especially young black boys. So,
I agree.
I would have picked him. He would have been my first choice because he looked the part and he could act really well. But I like your pick too. I think your
Yeah.
pick is the fan favorite
Yeah,
online
that's the buzz,
right now.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah. This
I
guy
happen to
is
agree with
already
it.
employed by Disney because
Yeah.
of Grey's Anatomy.
Mhm.
So it's kind of easy to swing
Yeah.
on over to another studio. But anyways,
Yeah, I think either one of these guys would fit real well.
yeah.
Yeah. I would like to see Damson get it because I just think he's fantastic, but
Yeah.
I think either one though would be a good grab,
Yeah.
The only other one I could think of is Morgan Freeman. I mean, can you imagine him ripping off the mask after a big fight scene and it's just old Morgan Freeman?
Oh my gosh.
All right, guys, so that's it for the
I do-
rumor.
I would love to see Morgan Freeman as one of the elders there, to be honest. But
Morgan could do it.
question is for you guys. Who do you think should be the new Black Panther, new face of T'Challa in the MCU? So, all right. That concludes our rumor. Morgan Freeman. Goodness gracious. That concludes our rumor mill rundown, guys. Now we're on to our branch point breakdown.